to the Real Dad Podcast. I'm Dave, and I know how to juggle.
Oh, wow. Hi, I'm Joey, and I forgot that we were doing fun facts about ourselves. I consider myself an excellent driver.
Liar.
Hi,
No, I do.
my name is Mark, and I have 5 brothers.
Nice. Oh, fuck.
Hi, my name is Brian, and I have a forever zit on my neck.
Forever zit.
Forever zit?
Yeah.
Where's your forever zit?
Let's dad.
You're going to drop that on us?
It's right here. Oh. It's there's a little it's just a little.
You could have picked anything and you led with that.
It's an interesting fact.
But it's funny because I have one on my lip right here.
Really?
And I've never heard anyone call it a forever zit, and that's exactly what it is. It's always there.
It comes and goes?
No, it
just
never
fills
leaves.
Up, it just fills up with pus.
Okay, no, mine doesn't do that.
Yeah, it does.
It's just a red dot on my
No,
lip.
I just got it must be a cyst of some
Right.
sort.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've had it my whole life.
Forever pimple.
It's kind of fun, actually.
Yeah, there you go.
Gives
If you're
you
a
something to
pimple
look
popper.
forward to
Yeah.
at nighttime.
Yeah. If you're a person that's into that, you
Sometimes
just
it's
refill.
super satisfying.
Does your wife
Yeah.
ever pop your pimples?
No.
Wow, Robin lives for it.
Yeah,
No,
same with
yeah?
Meg. Yeah.
Like, it's annoying.
Oh.
I like popping pimples, and I'll even consume a little content on the pimple pop.
Really?
Oh, wow. You're learning something new.
Have you ever watched those?
I can't.
Are we talking just a pimple, or are we talking a cyst?
like boils and cysts
Yeah,
and
yeah.
ingrown
That's
hairs.
yeah, it's disgusting, but it's hard not to watch.
It's so satisfying.
Yeah.
But like Robin will literally like bend me over, not the good kind, and then be like, "Let me see your back," and I'm like, "Oh fuck, I'm a spicy meatball right now," and she just fucking goes to town at it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I get frustrated, and I'm like, "Shut the shit down."
Yeah. But it feels good too. Like sometimes. For a little while. No?
Does it?
I'm a bit of a masochist.
I can't.
so-
You ever get a pimple on your sides?
Step into Joey's bedroom for a second.
Things we're learning?
You get pimples on your sides? I can't do it. There's like a little bit of. It's weird because I go from 0 to punch you in the face, pain tolerance, very quickly.
Gotcha. Ha! Look at it. Very quickly.
Oh, that feels good.
No. It's like a. I can. Okay, stop it.
Yeah, okay, very good.
So I don't know how she
tipping
deals
point.
with it. I really don't. But we're here.
Yeah.
And we have our health.
Okay, that is good.
And our
I'm
pimples.
happy for you.
Forever pimples, even.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
good. I'm digging this new opening thing. We're gonna learn a lot about each other.
We really are.
I love that.
Yeah. My fun fact was terrible.
No,
though.
I can vouch
didn't-
for your driving, though.
that's
You are a
okay.
very good
Thank you,
driver.
Thank you.
Have you ever been in an accident?
So I've been in kind of one, I guess, but it was just super icy. I was driving like 40 and there was a hill and it just slid
been
and hit it and then I kept driving.
Hit
My
what?
like just a snowbank and then
Oh,
bounced
that's
back
not
on.
an accident.
But like my go-to is like I blew a tire on the 401 in the middle lane and just casually pulled off to the side. Meg likes to tell the story. She had her legs up on my lap while we were driving. I was going back to her place at Waterloo on the 401. I was cruising along the left lane flying, and then the car started to like do this, like rattle like crazy. So I pulled in the middle lane and 2 cars were on either side of me and the front left tire blew. And it was kind of scary. But I just kind of put my flicker on and slowly went off to the side. She was like, "How did you not panic?" I'm like, "I don't know. If I panicked, we would have died probably." So instead I just didn't.
I am not nearly as good of a driver with Joey. I'm just lucky. I just luckily evaded a few things in my life that could have been very bad.
I was with you for one of those.
You were.
We could have killed so many people.
Yeah, it was grade 12, and I
times.
had my parents' car, and there was this road that had like a short dip. So if you went fast enough down it, it gave you that like
Butterflies.
butterfly
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah.
So I was ripping down that road and went whoo, down it, and we're like, "Oh, that was awesome!" We're like, "Let's do it again." And a road appeared, so I was like, "Sure, that's the road.
No,
I
I
should
think the
turn
road was
on."
always there.
Yeah, I'm like,
They're going that fast. The road just appears.
Again, I think it's always there.
Yeah.
so I just peel the corner onto this road and
Try to
like
turn around.
and like just missed the ditch, kind of get on, like stayed on the road, but there was another car coming down, and it was one of those awkward moments where we turned around and that car didn't move, and you knew they were waiting for us, and we're waiting for them to leave, and then they left, and we went and we did it again.
Yep. It's funny time that I wasn't even thinking about that one. There was two of them that I was with you.
Okay, shoot.
The other one was Steve's fault. Remember we were following him?
Oh, yeah.
We were following in like a, what do they call it, caravan when you pass?
I say lucky.
Yeah, following along somebody, following them somewhere. So it was our other brother-in-law. He was ahead of us, and then we go over to the right lane, and he guns it all of a sudden. We're like, all right, so Dave's gunning it behind him, and he pulls in front of a transport truck in an intersection. But we can't see any of that because we were right behind him. And now the transport truck is in the intersection. Dave's still going straight in the right lane. He can't peel off to the right because there's all cars there. So he just carried on straight right up over the curb onto the grass.
The right lane ended. There was no more lane.
He drove on the grass for a little bit, and he threw on his flicker and merged back into the lane.
Well played.
I promptly put my seatbelt on.
Let's see here.
Well played.
It was one of those moments that was like terrifying, and neither of us said anything or reacted until we got back into the lane and we're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, because if there was a light pole or a
person,
human or anything,
it
it
would have been
was.
fucked. Lucky.
Yeah, we wouldn't be here right now.
I got a couple more.
I used to
of those
have
too,
so
but
much
stop
more fun
there.
when I drove.
Right?
Now driving's just boring. It's like,
Yeah.
gotta be responsible.
Safe.
Like my parents had a standards which I learned to drive on.
Nice.
So I used the e-brake a lot when I was It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Now it's a stupid push button thing. I used to
Especially when
love
you're in
the
a
little-
Spark.
Ah,
I
jeez.
don't have the spark today.
Go to the grocery store parking lot and just drift.
Yeah, I used to love that. I'll never forget coming home from college. I was with my buddy Dave. He's not listening to this, but anyways, we were coming home from like a weekend of wild shenanigans, and he likes to think that he's a NASCAR driver. Don't know why I spoke in German there for a
That's
second.
okay. We were along the ride.
So we're driving down a country road. There's like an old lady in front of us, and then there's several vehicles driving on the other side. It's a long weekend, so traffic is busier, and this idiot thinks that he can beat the cars that are coming on things. So he's driving, and our buddy was in front of us. So he safely passes the person that is slowing everyone down. And then there's a car clearly coming in the opposite direction. Right. And he's like, "You think I can make it up and catch a Brown?" I was like, "Brown is the slowest driver ever. You're gonna catch him regardless. So like we're good." He's like, "I'm going." I was like, "Going where?" And we stop speaking, and he pulls over, and now we're in a game of chicken with this car that's coming on. And then I just hear him go, "Yep, not gonna make it," and fucking twins wheel into the ditch, down into the ditch for the thing, and then he tries to save it and come back up into blindly oncoming traffic because we're coming up the hill. Fucking bang, and then we pull over on the side of the opposite side of the road, and Brown is pulled over. He's having a smoke because he just thought we died. And he's like the thing, and then I get out of the car, and he's like, "You want to drive?" "Yes, I want to drive home with you." "Yes, fuck you. I'm never getting in the car with you again."
Yep, not gonna make it.
It's a miracle you're here.
It is, it's
Which, like, I'm terrified to let my kids drive for that fact alone.
It's I don't think I have it in me. Like
There has to be a parent level that you reach where you just stop thinking about things.
No, I don't. You know
There
what?
has to
No,
be.
but I think here's the problem. I don't think our parents liked us very much. When you think about all the shit they used to let us do, okay, they let us out. They didn't care where we went.
They let us outside. And that was their mistake.
They literally let us outside,
Yeah.
and they didn't give a fuck. They didn't care if we got bullied. They didn't care about any of that shit. They just let us out. You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. That was the advice we got. They had to have a commercial to remind them that they had kids. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your kids are?
We
were the kids.
There is a level to not knowing things. Though.
But we have too much knowledge now.
I know. Like even like with air tags that you could have on cars and stuff and know where exact. Anyways, because there was my son's friend. He was telling a story. We were driving together to an event for the kids, and he said they had his stepbrother had watched a show that they weren't supposed to watch, and then the kids had kind of gotten in trouble, and the stepdad had said like, what happened to just not telling people what you watched? Like, why wouldn't you just like watch a thing and then not tell anyone about it? And like, that's what we did growing up. You would watch something and nobody knew about it. Your parents just don't know the things that you did.
Yeah.
So when we are together as a family and we're telling these stories, my dad is like, no, I don't want to hear them. I don't want to hear about the almost times, like all the times you almost died. And it's like, I didn't know them, and I don't need to know them.
Right.
Please just stop.
That's that blissful ignorance, right?
Exactly.
I feel like our parents definitely lived in that, where they just had too much shit that they were dealing with, and we were one thing they didn't have to deal with, regardless of what happened to us once we went out the door.
Man, I think of, and I know our parents have the things they used to do,
Right.
but like, and I don't know if there's a little bit of that, like, oh, like we used to do some, and it was so much fun. We want you guys to have some of that fun. Whereas, like, I'm like, yo, there was fucking real trauma in those memories, and I don't want you guys to have to go through that. So just live under this rock with me for the next 35 years. We'll be all right.
I think there becomes an element of once your kids have the independence to go out on their own, there just becomes too many things to worry about. So you just have to let go of all of it. Where it's like once your kids have that independence, especially once they're driving, right? Like now the entire world is at their fingertips. You'll just drive yourselves into an anxious depression if you just keep thinking about all the things that you could worry about with your kids, right? And I don't doubt that a lot of parents find themselves in that cycle, right? Like if you already have that, I know Ian even touched on it when he was on the show of like that anxiety-driven parenting. I think if you live within that and you don't let that go eventually, like I can only imagine what that would be like once your kids are out in the real world, right? Like sending a kid off to college for the first time if you're still kind of carrying that.
And I think they would probably describe it as like constantly living in a low level of anxiety.
Yeah.
Because I know my dad said that like when my sister was backpacking through Europe, it's like he couldn't check in with her every day. There wasn't a way to know. And it's like you're just constantly on this low level of like worry. So that when they do come home, then it's like, and it's like you feel that weight come off because it's like, you know, they're home, you know, they're safe. And then they go out onto their next adventure and you just buckle up for another level of
we'll
anxiety.
have self-autonomous driving cars by then.
Exactly.
They'll be fine.
What kind of trouble can you get into with those? I don't know.
They'll find a way.
Zero.
We found a way.
Their trouble's going to be so lame. I would remember driving when I first got my license.
Yep.
Remember that book of fucking the CD Bible that you had to thumb through?
Yeah.
You know how dangerous it, like, and how
While driving.
dude, you're driving with this fucking thing and looking for like the Mark 2001
And
album,
trying to get
the
it out of
fucking
the plastic
soundtrack
case and
the thing on the other, and you're like, I just want the Boys of Summer to come on. Fuck, man. They have no idea. I was like, my son was like, can I watch some whatever thing on your phone? I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. Pull my phone on the thing, and my wife's like, you're driving. You shouldn't be doing that while you're driving. I was like, you don't have to fucking shit. I used to thumb through while I was driving. Honestly.
Although, do you remember your first time having a moment with a cell phone in a car where you realized we shouldn't do this before it was illegal? I have that moment stored in my memory. It was with a flip phone.
I do it like 3 times a day. I'm like, I fucking shouldn't be doing this.
I've done the talk to text now, but I was on a flip phone talking to my older brother and driving, and I almost rear-ended somebody because we were just having like a good conversation, and I just checked out and slammed on the brakes. It was one of the only times I had to like screech to a halt. I'm like, ooh, that was close. He's like, that didn't sound good. I'm like, I'm good. I just stopped in time. But I remember having the moment to be like, I wonder if I shouldn't be doing this right now, because that was before you couldn't.
I got real good with the T9 and I didn't have to look.
Really? Yeah. I never mastered that. It was awful.
Because it was actual buttons. So.
It was.
Yeah.
T9 was great. I remember driving down the 401, texting while driving, and look, because before you didn't have to be discreet. You just put it up on the thing, and you would be like texting 10 and 2.
Now you have to hide
I'd be fucking texting over here, but now you
As a
can't
podcast, do not condone driving.
it's like you have to conceal carry. You
back in
can't
the
be
day.
out willy nilly just fucking. Anyways, so now like when the thing, I remember like texting. I was like back when like BBM was a thing, or like you had like the BlackBerry with the keyboard, be like thumbing your way through.
Yep.
And then you look up and it's like, don't text and drive on the sign. And I'm
Right.
like, that fucking sign's talking to me. Yeah. Like I'm the only one doing it.
We had a good laugh with my mom last weekend because we were talking about driving out east. We're like, well, we can't drive for like 10 hours straight because you're not supposed to drive that long with your kids in a car seat. Like, it's not safe for them. And she just laughed because she's like, do you remember when we drove out east in our station wagon?
Yeah.
Like, nobody had seatbelts on. You were all just lying across the bench seat, or you were in the back seat that looks out the back window.
The rumble seat was the fucking best
That was
seat
my seat.
ever. Oh my God.
It was heaven back there.
Totally.
It was just like the lounge.
There was no worries, man. That's blissful ignorance. Like, that's what our parents got to parent through.
Yeah.
They had their own crap they had to deal with. They had their own wars, but they had a lot of blissful ignorance that they just got to float through life. Oh, I wish I could remember the term now. Shouldn't have brought it up. My therapist has a term that she uses for like our parents' generation of parenting.
Yeah.
It's like a farts and feathers type of thing, where it's just like they just went
Birds
through
of
it.
a feather.
Yeah, it was just that type of like they went through parenting just like doing it easy, figuring it out as they go, where it's like our generation has a lot more of consciousness in how we parent.
Yeah, they just had like
gonna
guilt
find
after
out.
the fact. We just guilt ourselves the whole way through.
We entered it with guilt. And we're carrying it with us still.
See if it's good or bad. You know?
So I had this thought recently, and I posted this to the Patreon. So if you wanted to hear this about a week ago, you should join our Patreon.
I like that.
Meg and I were talking about it one morning, and this is so it stemmed from something we've talked about on the show before. About
Who's Meg?
Meg, my wife. I qualified that earlier.
Oh, sorry.
Or is that?
I
in
think
the
that was the last episode.
I don't know. Either way, getting kids ready in the morning and like having them pick out their stuff and whatever, and that battle and the let them theory, right? Let them do their thing. So this started with the boots that she selected on this given day. It's a snowy day outside. You should probably wear big boots. She picked out her fabric type Uggs, and Meg immediately, we were already kind of in like a bit of a stress morning, but it was immediately like a no, take those off, baby. You're not wearing those today. Murph does not respond well when you just give her a straight no to something. So she didn't respond well. It escalated. The boots ended up in the garbage. We carry on. I should qualify.
Yada.
I should
put them in the
qualify that the
garbage?
boots did have a hole in them. So I was like, they were meant for the garbage anyway. But then Murph wasn't listening. Meg laid down a threat, and I'm like, Meg, we don't make threats, so we're not going to follow through on. She was like, I'm following through on it. And she threw the boots in the garbage. So those boots are gone now. But yes, so this all stemmed a conversation around. We really want to instill self-confidence in our kids as they grow up and as they get older. And I think part of that is built within their decision-making. So we had this discussion based around, okay, how do we want to react better next time? And I think a lot of it comes down to not saying no, it comes down to saying no less. I realized that we said no to our kids a lot immediately, where it's like it's just an immediate no without asking them why they are making the decision that they're making and then help guide it after we find out more information. But we do anyways. We got so used to just saying no. And I noticed it with my daughter where she started coming to us and saying, well, I have a question, but you're going to say no. So I'm like, how often are we saying it that you're already assuming the no before you even give me a chance to have this discussion? But I'm like, but I also get it. Like, we do say no a lot. Now, if you aren't a parent, you're probably not listening. If you are a parent, you know that your kids do and say a lot of stuff that you just have to say no to. Like, kids are not intelligent with what is happening around them, right?
Yeah, they're pretty stupid.
They're pretty dumb most of the time.
Pretty stupid, dumb kids.
Stupid.
we
If you're a
love.
kid and you're listening to this, you're a stupid head. You big, dumb, stupid head kid.
But your parents love you very much.
And you shouldn't be listening to this.
Yeah.
Go home.
Yeah.
Bad parents if they're letting you listen to this right now.
You piece of shit. Sorry,
Dave.
let me go a little
Whoa,
farther.
wow.
Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry.
He's a
Calm
freaking
down.
bully over here.
We were all just having a good time.
Honestly.
I hadn't said anything in a while.
You went,
So you come in with
you went
that?
super angry and called someone a stupid, dumb shit.
You started it.
No, I said they're big, stupid head. I didn't say they were a dumb shit.
We were talking to a child. No, totally.
Fucking had
Joey,
like
you
a
were saying-
neck
what
vein.
were you saying?
He had a neck vein.
He felt that.
He did.
was
I
picturing
could
that
feel
bully,
the
I
hot
think.
sauce coming out of his fucking teeth. You stupid dumb shit. Okay, fucking, that came from his
that feel
colon.
good, though?
No,
Okay,
it
sorry,
came.
no, Tim.
I almost had diarrhea. It came from my fucking colon, Dave. It didn't feel good. I feel like a bad person now.
I felt it though.
Anyways, Joey, what were you saying before your brother-in-law rudely interrupted us with his violence?
Wow, he just came out a kid though. Like that's the thing about it. Nobody needs to know.
Doesn't matter.
But yes, that's the thing we were noodling on. Is like saying no less, but instead of that, finding out why they're making the decisions that they are. Because I think if you're constantly met with no, I'm really trying hard to keep the train back on the tracks here.
Tangent already, so I couldn't bring it back. Thank you. I wanted to fucking comment on it so bad.
From wallowing to
wasn't even listening.
noodling.
I was like, I'm gonna let him have the noodle. I'm not. I just fucking tore Davis strip. I can't talk about the noodle. Oh God. Thank you, Brian.
We're learning the words we can't
I forgot
use.
everything you said after noodle.
I was we're in the same brain. I got fucking noodled on there. There's a plate of spaghetti. I don't
Trying
know.
my best to avoid large syllable words. I can't avoid my little isms too, okay?
Because Mark's a stupid dumb shit. And I can't absorb multi-syllable words. In case you're new to the show, listener, it's usually this unorganized.
Yeah.
But sometimes we're able to make it through conversations.
Nah, we're just here for a laugh, and that's what they're here for too. So.
Okay, saying no.
Oh,
Bring it back.
saying no less, and instead looking for more of an explanation from the kids as to why they're making the decision that they are making. So in that moment with the boots, it's like, okay, why did you pick those boots? Are they more comfortable? Do you think they looked great with your outfit? Like there has to be a reason why she was so passionate about having those boots.
Right.
And I feel like that's what can really help encourage self-confidence and in their decision making, because I feel like that's something for myself. The other thing that kind of sparked this conversation with us was another just TikTok that Meg had found that was somebody talking about adulting and how difficult it is, and they were comparing or linking that to most people hate making decisions. You think about food, like we talk about that all the time, how people just hate kind of making that call. It's because we're so scared to be wrong that as adults we don't want to be most people don't want to be the decision maker, because you don't want to be the one to make the decision and have it be wrong. And I think that stems from a young age and always being met with no. Every time you make an answer, you're met with no. Every time you're at school and you make a wrong answer, you're met with criticism or a mark that is incorrect.
Mark's usually correct from my experience.
Mark's always correct. But instead, if you're met with, why is that the decision that you made right now? And trying to guide your kid through, okay, I totally hear that. And yes, those boots look straight fire with that outfit, but out
Did
in
you
the
say
snow.
straight fire?
Listen, I'm trying to connect with my kid in that
She
moment.
talks like that?
Oh, yeah.
Straight
No,
fire?
she's never said that once in her life.
I was going to say.
I'm trying to justify a comment I made, but it was
sorry.
done in
I'm
no faith.
going to stop.
But yeah, I think that's more of our thing is to guide our kids, right? And to help them make the right decision the next time, instead of just saying, no, you have to wear those boots. Because I feel like that's a lot of what we were met with was, no, it's this. So that says to me in my head, I'm wrong. I'm not good at making decisions, right? Where I don't want to instill that in my kids. I want them to instill in themselves, I can make the right decision. So it's how you get from point A to point B. Again, this is just something that we've been thinking about and talking about.
Because it's hard when you, because you prefaced all that by we were already having a bit of a morning.
Yeah.
So it's hard to, as a parent, be in the mindset of, I'm sorry, sweetie. Like, why are you choosing that?
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to go there because you've already spent your patient bucket. And, like, if you have, like, an amount of patience to give, you've already used up all your patience. And then you get to this situation.
The kids have used up all your patience, right?
Yeah, like
They've been scooping it out.
Why are we using a bucket as
an
the analogy?
why not?
That's pretty normal.
Yeah.
Patient bucket?
I mean, he could
Like
have
fill
just...
your bucket, you know? We talk about like when people do
bucket full
things
of
that fills
patience.
your bucket, you take your bucket. I don't know. Take a bucket, give a bucket.
I'm not used to this many people
Anyways,
ganging up on me here.
but it's hard to be that in the moment if you are not in a good place.
But I
And
think
that's
that's-
where like it comes back to even what I had said about like compliance being the thing that determines a good kid.
Right.
How I thought of it, where it's like you just want your kid in that moment to be compliant.
Yes.
Because you're already done. You want to just say, no, you're not wearing those boots. You're wearing these boots. And you want them to say, okay, Mom,
Yeah.
and put on the other boots, and you go about your day in a happy
Mm-hmm.
manner.
You know, how often do you celebrate the times where they do just say, okay,
It's
Mom?
so nice.
I
Right,
celebrate that
And
for sure.
We go hard at it, and we've noticed a huge difference. Like, we celebrate those like little
Right.
like moments when we're like, when they just go with the flow, and they're
Right.
like, go brush your teeth. Okay. Whoa! Now we're talking. Who wants high fives?
Yeah, the parade.
Like we like go at
So
it.
good.
Just because of that reason.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
and we've noticed now more. And it's weird because when we do it for my daughter who's older, my son who is 3 is like it. He tends to like
He's
click
picking up
a
on it,
little bit
yeah.
easier, and then he's not so defiant.
Well,
Yeah.
and they'll have fun with it too. Like, it's funny you say that. I did that tonight unintentionally with Murph at bedtime. It was my turn for bedtime, and she had said, "I want some milk," and I was like, "That's cool." I'm
Yeah.
like, I forget what I had said, but she decided that I
milk.
was saying
My
no, and I'm
name's-
like, I
my name's
probably
Dad.
said that because I'm an asshole. And she got upset and walked away, and she's like, "Oh, you're just gonna say no or whatever." I'm like, I never once said no. I just thought it would be nice if you asked me nicely if you could have some. She's like, "Dad, can I please have some milk?" And I did. I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh my goodness, that was the best." Did you feel those words coming out of your mouth? And immediately her whole demeanor changes. She gets
Yeah.
a big smile on her
And
face.
no.
Yeah. But no, you ain't having no milk. But it's true. Like, you celebrate and go over the top. That's what they're going to remember, and that's what they're going to have fun with.
So
we switched up something else too. When they start being dickheads,
Okay.
we say try again.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they instantly know now that it's a cue, so they'll say sorry, and then they'll go like right back to the thing. So
Yeah.
My kids do not say so. They do not turn the ship that quickly. No, that's not happening.
Shit ain't turning.
It's hilarious though with our youngest because he refuses to say please and thank you and like use manners at all. He just
Right.
like every time you try and like remind him to, he just gets a big grin on his face and just looks at you and just keeps doing the thing.
It's good. Twist
He's
this
just so
knife.
damn cute.
He really is.
my son doesn't love to say I love you when he's forced,
Okay.
or like give hugs and kisses, and we're trying not to like force him.
Right.
So we had they call them Gigi and Papa, but they were over for dinner on Sunday.
Okay.
They were leaving, and he was like, "Can I have a hug?" And he goes, "Nope, not in my house."
That's perfect.
Oh man.
Not in my house.
Coming back to what you were saying though, Joe, I think one of the things that I really liked in what you said is that I think often as parents, and this might be as your kids get older, because when they're young, they're just young, dumb little kids. But as they start getting older, they have a thought process.
Yeah.
And I think we don't give our kids credit for the process in which they are thinking. Like they
Yeah.
are growing and becoming intelligent beings that have emotions and thoughts and things that they want to do. Like you said,
Yeah.
like those boots, what was the reasoning behind that? Why do you not want to wear your jacket? And like,
Yeah.
I remember with my son where he's like, well, cause I'm slow in my boots. And it's like,
Right.
that's his reason. Like he doesn't
that
want to
makes
be
sense.
slow. He
Thinking
wants to
about
be able to be
speed.
fast. And it's
Yeah.
like, that's the thought process. So if you're forcing me to be slow, then you're forcing me to lose in the game that I'm about to play at
Yeah.
recess or something like that. And it's
Yeah.
like, you start to understand the whys that they might have. And I think that is a very good point to be able to, if you're able to,
Yeah.
try and ask those questions. Like, I think that's even just a general thing. Like, be more like probing with questions
Yeah.
than just direct with things.
Well, I think to your point, it's giving your kid credit for the fact that they're making a decision in that
Right.
moment, right? Like, sure, sometimes they just do things flippantly, and it's because the first thing that comes to their mind, they do it. But sometimes they are putting actual thought into that, and they have a reason why they were doing whatever they were doing.
Right.
So give them that credit and be inquisitive with them and ask questions and find out why they're making those decisions, because that's how you're going to learn to know your kid. I think it kind of goes back to that clip that you played. I don't know if that was on this episode or not. No, it wasn't. Never mind. But it goes
Last
back to
week's
the-
episode, we played a real great
Just
clip.
go back and listen to that one and then come back. But yeah, like you don't necessarily know the things that are going on in your kid's head, because you have all your other things that you're dealing with in your own head, right? So getting to know your kid is asking them questions around those decision making that they're making. So similar subject, but another thing that just popped in my head that a good friend of ours, we were just chatting about it the other night at dinner. He's a single parent, and man, what a struggle that is, even chatting with him as he navigates through that. And he's a very anxious parent as well. So just talking about that and talking about the struggles with it, but he has a counselor that he sees, and was talking to him about one of the biggest struggles that he has with him and his daughter is that he has this thing where he finds that whenever they're kind of late for something or they need to go somewhere, he will obviously, his anxiety starts to ramp up, and he's like, I swear every time I told her we're going to be late, or like, you need to hurry up, she intentionally goes slower. He's like, it just kills me. He's like, it seems like she's doing the opposite, and it makes me furious. And he's like, I had this conversation with my counselor, and I've never gone from being so angry about something to being so proud of her about something so quickly. So he's like, I had this conversation, and he's like, okay, so Mark, you realize that is your daughter trying to regulate you and basically saying, I'm not taking your bullshit. So you're coming at her with anxiety and saying, we need to go do this thing. That's her rejecting your anxiety and saying, it's not that important. I'm going to take my time, and I'm going to get there when I'm going to get there. And he was like, whoa, wait a minute. And it's like, obviously there's certain layers to that, and every situation is different. Sometimes you do have to get out of the house. But he's like, there's a lot of times where we don't have to go, where we're going somewhere where there isn't a time. We don't have an appointment that we have to be there at this time. I just wanted to leave by a certain time. And because I am such an anxious person, she's picking up on that. So that's her telling me, chill out.
Yeah.
And he's man, did that ever give me
and
a
kids
switch?
pick up on that too.
Yeah.
Oh, how many times is the shit show a shit show also because you are
on your own?
You've lost your patience, and rarely is it a shit show when you're just like chill and like on time or whatever.
I remember
or late, and like it's just like whatever, we're gonna be late. It is what it is.
Exactly.
I remember one time my mom was like, let's go, we gotta go. And I was like, we're going to Nana's house. Like, chill out. And I was probably like 6.
Right.
So very similar. Yeah. Kids like can totally pick up and like
on your energy.
Just be like, dude, relax. Like,
it's like, not that important.
Yeah, you're not meeting anybody cool. It's freaking Nana's house.
Yeah.
You know?
And like my dad, that was one of his. He even talks about like he is anxious when he has to go somewhere.
Right.
He wants to be able to get there early to feel prepared, to kind of understand where he is.
He would hate.
And like they're also living in a time where you didn't have like a Waze or a maps on your phone to tell you exactly how long it was going to get there. Like I remember Joey's dad, we always joked about like, how should I get here? And he's like, oh, take this road, do this. It'll take you 25 minutes or it'll take you 27 minutes. He knew all the routes, all the timings to get to places. Yes, that's true. But like back then, like my dad, like they didn't have, you'd have to map it or whatever. And like he would always want to be somewhere earlier.
Imagine
on
that
time.
not being able to punch something in and be like, I have to be here at this time. So what time do I need to leave?
Yeah.
Right.
What?
So that's where
us.
his anxiety came from. From it, and I definitely have that like aspect that I transfer into our family as well, where it's like we want to be somewhere on time, and like I question myself on that often. Is like, why? Like even with hockey, like I'm rushing out the door to make sure I get to hockey, guys' night hockey on time. If I got there 20 minutes late, I would get changed and I'd jump on the ice and everyone would be like, hey Dave, great to see you. And there wouldn't be anything, like it wouldn't make a difference. But to me, I'm like, no, I got to get there so that I can get dressed and be on the ice for warm-ups. Like, why? Like,
that was a lesson I learned early in our marriage because I would so often be like stressing about being somewhere on time. Yeah. And she's on her own schedule.
Right.
But she also stresses about being late. But she's the one that makes us late.
Right. Fair enough.
Which is, it's fine. It's really fine. I learned that the only person it affects if I'm stressed about being on time somewhere is me.
Right.
At that time, anyway. It was like, it just makes the whole experience miserable. So I just got very used to being like, I'm ready to go when you are. Like,
It's funny because no one in my family is prompt.
Yeah.
Ever. At all. So it's never been a thing for me.
Okay.
And then like it is very important for Robin to be punctual. And I remember she sent me like a video or whatever, and it was like people that are late just don't respect people's time and
Right, I
like,
think I'd
whatever.
seen that, yeah.
And I was like, it was the first time that it kind of clicked. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm just super disrespectful.
I don't think so. You're just
I think there's situations
Yeah.
where it could be where like if somebody is expecting or waiting you for an appointment or whatever that is.
Yeah.
I mean, doctors, you get there and they're just gonna make you wait an hour anyways, so they're very disrespectful of our time. But
communication's key.
yeah,
Yeah, because that was our dynamic in our family. My one brother is like notorious for that. The closest one to me in age, where like we have this ongoing joke that like we wait for Josh because he's somewhere clipping his nails. Like he's always the last one in the vehicle whenever we were going where we left him at home once. We were going to church, so it wasn't a big deal. But like, yeah, my dad was like, no, I told him if he wasn't in the car by this time, we're leaving. So we left. And he was old enough to be home alone, but slightly not old enough to be left at home alone
probably
too.
had a great time. by
He
himself,
probably had the
though.
best day. I was like, what? Can I stay home? No, we're going to church. Damn it. Should have been slower. But yeah, I think there's certain situations where, yes, of course, you want to honor other people's time and if you're meeting people. But I think there's the give and the take, right? I think some people have too much anxiety around it where it's just like, take a breath. And so much of that I've like seen some content around like so much of that being connected to Western culture schooling, where it's like that's what schooling did to us. You had to be there before the bell, otherwise you were getting in trouble. So that's the anxiety side of it for so many people. Or it's like if you weren't there, then you got detention. Like that was very much drilled into you for so many years going to school. Yeah, we're like exactly. Where we used to run into that all the time with a former employee mate work.
Did you just
person?
Did you just travel to fucking down under?
What's the word?
Mate.
What's the word for coworker? There it is.
Anything?
Yeah,
Coworker.
Literally anything but
mate?
what I said. I got nothing for you.
We're not.
I respect the search for 2 words to do it though. You got there.
Y'all knew what I was saying. Anyway, he would always show.
Entered a Bluey episode for some.
You weren't mad about it.
No,
but he was like 7:30 be there
Crikey.
every single day, where Dave and I were a little bit more lax. We were coming from a situation where we worked together, so we didn't care what time we got on site. We were going to get there and work, but he was always there at the same time every single day, and he would say something to us, but we're like, doesn't matter when you show up, it's how much you work when you get to work, man. Like, just chill.
Take his smoke breaks, and we wouldn't take smoke breaks. And
man, nothing pisses me off more than working with a smoker. Honestly.
Take notes, smokers.
If you're a smoker and you're listening to this, you're a stupid piece of shit.
yeah, fuck you, piece of shit.
I thought you were gonna go back to Butthead. we still love you if you're supporting the show.
Thank you.
It was interesting that you brought that up though, because with the taking kids places, because tonight I was taking my son and his buddy to the Nerf Wars things that they were going to.
Wait,
but I wasn't.
Tell me more.
It's a thing.
I wasn't too concerned about timing getting there. So on the way home, Ben was like, "Hey, like you told us that you didn't tell us we were going to be late," and I was like, "No, I thought you'd get there on time or whatever." And he was like, "Yeah, you weren't using like your hurry up voice."
Right.
And I was like, "Yeah, because I was just being chill because I didn't really care. Like it didn't matter."
Right.
And he was like, "Oh." But it was like when he said you didn't use like your hurry up voice, I was like, I have a hurry up voice. Like, what does my hurry up voice sound like? But just that like level of like, do we have to go? It's like, yeah, I mean, we can go. Or like, hey guys, like we gotta go. Like, are we going now or are we waiting around? Like, are you gonna get moving? Like,
that's the thing.
Because I'm definitely like, if there was a recorder recording yourself, how often would you see yourself acting like that and be like, oh, what an asshole. Or like, oh, why do
I'm
you do
annoyed
that?
by myself.
Yeah. How often would you be annoyed by yourself, do you think?
Wow.
110% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how when you take the opposite posture with your kids, how they can take
up on
on
it, yeah.
wanting to be there and wanting to leave
Right.
too, where there's like certain things. So we've just noticed it a bit with church because we're not necessarily rushing to get there. Like that's something that Meg and I took on with this. It's a 20-minute drive. So we're like, listen, we're not going to stress about being on time for this. Plus Sunday mornings are Sunday mornings. There are lazy mornings. But it's gotten to the point where we're so lax that now Murph's the one like at the front door being like, come on guys, like I want to get there, I want to go see my friends, and like she's the one kind of pushing us out the door. I'm like, I wonder how can we twist this into school, how can we make this her mentality Monday to Friday. If we figure it out, I'll let you know.
But any new parents out there, if you're doing anything with your kids, just know that it's going to take way longer than it's supposed to.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is. Just go to the grocery store.
Ain't no
anything.
ways for that. I brought no. I'm taking the respect.
Yeah, do it.
I brought both kids to 4 stores last night.
Okay.
And on a whim. It was my daughter asked if we could go to the dollar store so she could get crayons. Mm-hmm. And my son was like, well, you have to earn it. And then they did dishes and the thing. Oh, and I was like, I respect it. Do we need anything? We need something from the thing. And then while we were out, we went to the dollar store. Grocery store didn't have everything. I had to go to the other grocery store and then the LCBO to celebrate.
Obviously.
But sorry, when I take the kids out, I play a game called garbage driver.
It's your game. Don't ask us.
I was asking myself.
Okay.
Garbage truck driver. Anyways,
Phone a friend.
Mate.
The whole concept of the game is the kids ride on the side of the cart like a garbage can.
Oh, nice.
And when we get to the aisle, I say garbage, and I stop the cart, and they run an imaginary grab stuff off the shelves, the garbage, and they bring it back to the cart and put it in the thing.
Great game.
So it started at Costco, and now it goes to every single thing. But there's one grocery store in town that has like a it's like the shopping cart, but it's a tractor.
Nice.
And it has like the steering wheels in it.
Nice.
So both kids sit in the steering wheel thing. My daughter's way too big for it, but she crams her body into there.
That's adorable.
And then they tell me where to go, and I steer the thing. So everybody's watching us play this game. And my son will kind of do this. So I shake the cart and then he's laughing. She's like, no, go left. And I'll like drive it intentionally into like one of the things and stuff. So anyways, we're playing this game and then I fucking forgot where I was going with this.
Takes longer, or it doesn't take you as long?
Yeah. So we were supposed to go to the dollar store. And I was gone for an inordinate amount of time. Like we were late for dinner when we got home.
100%.
And my wife couldn't figure out like where. She's like, wait a second. Like you got all the stuff and you went to the thing and there's bags here and you got this. And you went to the LCBO? Like you took the kids all over the place? And I was like, she does it all the time. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't know where I was going with this story.
My kids are definitely, they behave differently with me when we're out than they do if they were just out with mom.
Yeah, I can see that.
So it's easier for me than it is for her.
You think so?
Yeah. Like my kids just kind of like follow me around and I just like cruise. With my wife, it's like, it sounds like it's a completely different situation.
Right.
Based on the stories I'm hearing. Yeah. They just give her a hard time. So it ends up taking a long time for
Psychologists say it's because they love her more, but I don't think they just say that to the parent to make them feel better.
Maybe it's more dependent on
It
her.
is weird sometimes when there are things that are sometimes easier to do with the kids without your spouse.
Yeah.
Like sometimes even just like getting them ready to go out. Like there's there are little aspects of things that
we just
I don't know if it's, but and I don't know if there's
just don't care
if we even as parents act differently when the spouse is involved as well or not.
Maybe.
But sometimes it's just a lot easier when you just can do it on your own.
Well,
It feels weird to say.
It feels like we were tiptoeing around some stuff here.
Like, you know,
don't go down.
No, it is true though. Like, and I wonder too if it's
not me. I love you so much. I would be lost without you. I can't do anything unless you're there.
But so Megan and I have talked about this with bedtimes. So she just hates bedtimes, and I don't know what it is, and she's trying to figure out what it is.
Hold on,
herself.
Is it bedtime or is it the teeth brushing?
It's like the whole the bedtimes, like the whole setup. Like teeth brushing, getting your pajamas on, the books, the whole.
Because I hate bath time. I would wash.
Right.
I would rash dishes. That's what I was going to
wash dishes. Yeah.
I would choose to wash dishes over bathing, and I don't know what it is.
That's fair.
And I don't. Robin doesn't like doing the whole toothbrushing thing.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
That part. But the laydowns, I love laydowns.
Yeah, for Meg, for whatever reasons, the whole thing. Like I shouldn't say
she wants to read
she's
her
not
book.
like crawling out of her skin the whole time, but she just doesn't enjoy it. Where it's like, if there's nights where I'm going out and she has to do both, it's a bit of a thing for her where she's like, man, I got to do both. She doesn't give me that. That was a misrepresentation. But for me, I don't care. Like, bedtimes are easy. Like, for me, I'm like, fucking kids go brush your teeth, and they brush their teeth, and then we read books and we do, like, it's not a huge deal. And I think there's an element of when I'm at work most days and you maybe don't see the kids quite as much, that becomes kind of your special time with the kids to be able to connect with them. So I think there's an element of that as well that plays into it. But we've just talked about it like, she just made a comment because I was leaving for like the second night in a row that I was going to be gone for bedtimes. And she had made a comment that was just kind of like a passing, like, shitty that I have to do this again. And when I got home, she ended up apologizing me, like, sorry, I didn't mean to make you feel bad with that. It's just when it was the second night in a row. Like, totally get it. I didn't take anything from it. But she's like, man, I don't know why I have such a hard time with it. Like, there's been plenty of times where she's been gone for several nights in a row, and I encourage her to go out. And, like, I don't care because it's just bedtimes. But I think there's a part of that with you. If you are doing this parenting thing with a partner, figuring out the things that each of you are okay with doing. And if there's things that your partner doesn't like doing, see if you can kind of lean into certain things that, I don't know, you strive to be better at or you are already naturally good at, and then you can carry the load for those things.
You should do it on purpose and make them do it even more.
Maybe.
Well, I can't even imagine what it would be like in a divorce situation where you have different routines even.
Yeah.
Like when you're with mom, the routine is one way. When you're with dad, your routine is a different way. Whether it's like bedtime or breakfast or dinner, like all those things. I don't know how you would navigate that.
I have a much more of like a you're on your own type of approach than my wife.
Okay.
So like with the teeth brushing, it's like brush your own damn teeth. I am not brushing your teeth. But like my wife is like, she wants to know that her, like the kids' teeth are brushed, so she will brush their teeth.
Right.
I'm like, I'm not doing it. Don't care. Not doing it. I'm not brushing your teeth. So your teeth are probably going to get plaque on them. They're going to go green and fall out of your head. And they're like, that fear is not enough for them to brush their teeth. Don't care. Sorry for your luck.
You will care when the dentist
I'm a teeth brusher. I brush my kids' teeth like every night.
But I don't have a bedtime routine. Like so it's not in me instinctually to be like, okay, well, it's time to start getting them PJs on.
Right.
I'm like I'm awake until I'm not, and then I just wander to where I'm sleeping. I take my clothes off on my way there, and when I land, I fall asleep.
Okay.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
And so I find it weird that people have routines. Like my wife has a whole...
Oh, you mean as an adult?
Yes.
Has a thing. But then it's like, it's kind of starts as the kids, though, I would imagine, right? Like you're going to want to do these things. Whereas me, I'm just like, no. Like I'll sleep standing up. And then all of a sudden be like, I need to fucking go to bed. And then I like stumble and then I gear down. And then I'll wake up in the morning and pick up my clothes and then go to bed.
Yeah. Carry on.
So I'm not good in that situation.
Right.
If my wife and I get divorced, my kids are, I don't know, I'm going to have to go searching for them in the morning to find out where they
It sounds like they're going to have to go searching for you.
No, you know where to find me. I'm in my spot because I'm very routine in that sense.
Right. You'll land in the same place.
Just follow the trail of clothes. I'll get there eventually.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever tried that garbage truck game going through a Home Hardware? Perhaps even the Kawartha Group of Home Hardwares, sponsors of the Real Dad podcast. Dave, hit me up with some locations.
No. You
We're
don't have
going to
look.
try it? Okay.
We can do it, guys.
Bridge North,
Lindsay.
Coblacant,
Lindsay.
Lakefield, Millbrook.
There you go.
Crushed it.
Friggin' right. So that's the Kawartha Group of Home Hardwares. They are a wonderful group of people all up in near cottage country, so you know they're nice
It's
to
not
deal
cottage
with.
country.
I said near. I said
Kawarthas?
near-ish.
Copaconk is very cottage.
Not cottage country.
Oh, yeah. Kobe?
Cottage
Come on,
country adjacent. Either way, all wonderful people,
that
locally owned and operated, Canadian made. What else do you need to hear? We love them. They always pick up they always have our backs. That's what I was trying to say. Great for contractors, great for the DIYers. Check out the Kawartha Group of Home Hardwares.
Who's going to say Regal?
Oh, there it is.
He said
Yeah, you said it. Yeah, you got to say it.
Regal ideas. The
They sell.
best aluminum railing on the market. They're innovative and they're informative and they got a great Deck Stars webinar that you can watch with frickin' Frack over there.
Yeah, that's us.
They've got a nice updated app as well.
Oh, they do.
Where you can get a lot of information on how to build it, warranty information, and as a contractor, you can start collecting reward points as well
Interesting.
with your purchases. And these reward points can be brought in for like one of their telesteps ladders and all of that jazz. So they've got like a cool little system that they put together.
Yep.
You want to know something really like this is how I know that the marketing's works. So you can tell Joe, Jacqueline, and Andrew that this is working. My neighbor listens to the podcast. Shout out to Howie.
Yep.
And today we were sitting there, and I have ripped my old railing off and wrapped my posts, so the aluminum.
Yep.
And Howie's like, "Well, you need to throw some Regal railing up on there. You're gonna replace the old stuff with a Regal railing." I was like, kind of proud of him that he knew. I was like, "You know what a Regal railing is? You can get it at Home Hardware." So I mean, it's working. I'm working.
We got one.
All right.
Boom.
That's all that matters.
Well, Brent Walker, #1 fan. He has Regal railing on his house for that very reason.
Taking it over.
That's it.
So what's the difference between the low end of the rail and like the high end of the like in cost? Is it like 3 times as much to get crystal rail compared to the low end? Putting you on the spot here.
I'd say the lower end, and then so from Urban Rail to the Regal 123 would be not quite double the price.
Okay.
But Urban Rail is definitely that much less expensive. And then to get to Crystal Rail from the Regal 123 is like, I'd say at least 3 times, maybe even more.
Okay.
It's a very premium product, but you get what you pay for with it because it is just stunning.
It lights up
between you and the view.
the entire sheet of glass.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it before, it's pretty beautiful.
Yeah.
Postless and railless railing system.
Lovely.
Gorgeous.
Crystal
Gorgeous,
Rail
gorgeous.
by Regal Ideas.
I mean, it was a bit of a shitty ad reads, but like we're really grateful to have companies that help support this and help us do what we're doing.
The Patreons are just the best in the business,
Yes.
if you ask me.
But
So
like,
that's where it's at.
The Patreons, the Instagram, the comments we've been getting on videos, the
great.
messages
The
from
DMs.
people, the DMs, like
Yeah.
even I haven't checked Spotify to see if people have been commenting on the episodes on there or not. But just thank you for being a part of what we're doing here.
And YouTube too. People are watching it.
Really?
Yeah, people are watching.
It's so weird.
It is weird when you post something on there and then you come back, you're like, whoa.
And I think
views.
the neat thing for us is it's happening. Like we're creating the community that we wanted to create.
Yeah.
That's what we set out to do when we set out to do this back in 2020. It's like, hey, we were listening to the Hey Dad podcast and it was like, we can do that. We can chat about being
What's
parents.
Hey, Dad.
That's where this kind of sparked.
Oh, that was the
Yeah,
name of it?
that was the
That was the name
podcast.
of that
We
podcast.
totally ripped off their idea.
Yeah, well, they gave up, so we just took the torch and ran with it.
There's no original ideas anymore.
No, it's true. You're always ripping off somebody one way or another. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just cool. Like we all learned that this parenting thing is hard pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And we wanted to create a community that was just supportive, that was talking specifically to dads, but I think we're learning that any parent or anybody who has any kind of being that they're taking care of needs support. So I think the fact that we are actually doing this, we're actually creating a community that is supportive of each other, that wants to jump into the comments, that wants to be the first one to throw out a DM because they want to be involved. It's just the realization that, okay, we're not alone in this. We're all parents that are just struggling through this. So if we can kind of laugh together and we can find a way to pick each other up when we need it, why not do that? And it was just giving people an avenue to do it through.
Before you were a parent, would you have considered yourself a patient person?
Dude, I just found a spot on my plantar fasciitis.
Oh my God. It felt so good.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Just summed up in a moment.
Oh my God.
I feel like I was more patient than I before,
Right.
or I lost my patience less.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think I have more patience now than I used to. But like,
It was something I was thinking about, like, as far as, like, is it a skill you can grow? Because, like, I was trying to think of, like, how do we sum up this conversation? And it was, like, having patience and taking time with your kids.
Right.
But how somebody who's either about to have a kid or has a young kid right now and isn't quite into that stage, or somebody who's finding themselves, like, I don't know how I could ever talk like that to my kid because I just
Right.
don't have the bandwidth for that. Is patience a skill that
Yes.
you can exercise?
It's a
and
necessity.
Work
Yeah.
at to grow better
It's
at.
constant. You have to practice it.
Yes.
And you have to want to practice it. I think that's
Yeah.
a good point to make too, right? Like
Right.
we've talked about that a lot on here, but like being a good parent, you have to be intentional about it. You have to want to be good at it. So I think patience is one of those big things that like you have to want to be patient with your kids in order to practice it.
But you also have to have a sense of awareness in those moments where you lack patience.
Yeah.
So there has to be a little bit of a reminder there so that you're like present in the moment, you're heated, and you want to fucking blow a gasket or use your impatient dad voice or whatever it is. But then be like, nope, this is one of those moments where I need to practice this right now.
Yeah, the self-awareness, right?
Yeah.
You either have to have incredible self-awareness or a partner that you're doing it with that you have an excellent communication with.
I don't
give you
think
that
that's
hint.
necessary, to be honest with you. No disrespect to the partners, but like I think there are some there are solo dads out there or solo
1000%.
parents out there that want to be present and they're able to do it. And I think to not take credit away from them, I think it's just a matter of how bad do you want it.
Yeah.
And if you're doing it for the right reasons and you're actively trying, then I think you just need to like have that awareness.
But it definitely helps to have a podcast like this to listen to.
totally.
Right. To at least make you feel like you're not alone when you are losing your shit out there.
but also to like talk about things like what type of parent you want to be.
Yeah.
And those types of conversations are important, I think.
And it like there is no right or wrong like parenting.
Yeah.
It just sometimes feels nice to not be alone and like not like everyone feels like a failure when they're parenting at one point or another.
Oh yeah.
And so I think that clicks and helps for specifically new parents, because new parents are like, what I have found is they're kind of so focused on their ecosystem and they play this comparison game. Like, oh, my siblings are my best friend, or like they seem to always have their shit together, but behind closed doors, they're fucking melting and they're having their own little thing. And then we just come on here and spit verbal diarrhea with a little bit of vulnerability. And they're like, yes, like finally, that's what I was I've just wanted to know that I wasn't going crazy. So you're not going crazy. You're just a parent. And you give a shit. And this is what normal is for you now.
Yeah, because I was almost wondering if they like can challenge yourself to do exercise patience outside of time with your kids.
No more challenges.
Because we're in a very head down society.
Yeah.
How often are you rushing through the door instead of holding it open for somebody else to go through first? How often are you trying to get ahead of that person to pay at the teller
Driving.
before they do? Yeah, get ahead of the person that's driving in front of you. Where how can you exercise patience in that way? Let somebody go first.
Right.
And slow your world down outside of the house. So that way, when you're in
transcend
those
into
moments, then you can slow yourself down.
I don't know if it does translate, because I'm a very patient person, outside of the house. Inside of the house, I'm super irritable. And I don't know if it's because I want to wind down, or like I just like the time frame doesn't let me, or do you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I don't feel like noise or like any of those certain things. So I just,
I think you're tested in ways that nowhere else tests. Like
Yeah.
that you
tests
didn't even
like
know,
that.
you didn't even know those triggers existed. And all of a
It's very
sudden,
personal, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's very much in your face and attacking you.
but it's that awareness that's like when you're thinking, and then you're like, "Rah!" and you're like, shut the fuck up.
Right.
Then you're just kind of like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
Why did that bother me so much? It's that reflection that most people don't do. They just fly off the handle, and then it's like, you know, then they're just like, that's the way it is, and like I can't fucking, you know what I'm saying? There isn't that kind of reflection on the same time of like they're just living their lives, bro. Like they're just doing it. They're doing everything you want them to do and more.
They're so happy sometimes.
Totally.
when they're doing it.
And you come in and just shit all over everything.
Maybe a slight tangent here, but I think it is an interesting direction to go with this. So some of our wives are reading a book in a book club, and one of the subjects that just came up in it was anger, and how that affected the household growing up is what they ended up discussing. And it correlated really well with Meg going to therapy and talking in that session about anger and about emotions and how those moments happen so often. And I think you touched on it really well, Mark, there about awareness and being able to visit it for yourself to realize why you're getting angry and why you're going through those different emotions. But I found it interesting to bring up just from a dad perspective, because what they found in those talks with a bunch of different women was there was this dynamic that lived in a lot of houses where dad was allowed to be angry and nobody else was allowed. Where the dad character in these households, everybody would be walking on eggshells because they don't want dad to fly off the handle. But it just meant nobody else was allowed to be angry, but there just became this dynamic that, okay, why is he allowed to be angry? And nobody else is allowed to be. And anger got labeled as this bad emotion, where as soon as that started to show in the kids, it was shut down immediately. No, you can't be angry. That's a bad emotion. Stuff that away. But then they have this representation that is angry most of the time. And it just creates this very confusing dynamic in kids. So I think that awareness is so huge in realizing what are the things in your life that you aren't regulating properly. And that's why like those self-reflection moments and being able to step back and look at yourself and realize, okay, what are the things that I'm maybe not modeling properly, or what are the things that I can do better at to be able to work on are so important.
But being able to communicate those things with your kids too is very important because they look up to you and idolize you. And when you do have those brief moments of, lashing out or telling them no, or what, whatever, or like, don't fucking bite my arm all the time, kid, or like whatever, it is, for me, super important to show the vulnerability, but also just like it helps kind of get it off of your chest when you've reflected back and you're like, I want another thing. You have that talk with them, like, hey, I just want to let you know, I don't feel good about how I just spoke to you right there. Yeah. And it's not something that I'm super proud of. And I just want you to know that like, I love you and I'm really sorry that, I spoke in a really loud voice. Cause I know that it could be kind of scary when dad speaks like that. Right. And then just listen to what they say. Yeah. Actively listen because they're going to tell you those thoughts that they're feeling and things, and they'll say like the weirdest shit will come in. You know what else is really scary, Dad? Sometimes you fart really loud when you're in the bathroom. Exactly. And you're like, I will work on that. Yeah, I will work on that.
Sorry, I was waiting. Cool. We were doing that push-up challenge recently. Yeah. And I was exhausted. I was like basically done for the day. I had like 10 more to do. Okay. And like when I'm doing push-ups, if someone's talking to me, my push-ups are hard. Like it's harder to do push-ups when I'm being... I hear so that. Like my son is standing right in front of me. I'm trying to do my last 10 push-ups. And I'm just like stressing because he's like trying to tell me something. And I'm like, stop talking. And I'm like, I told him to stop talking. And like immediately I could see his face just drop. And he like turns quietly and walks away. I'm like, oh shit. Like just the way that I said it. Right. Mm-hmm. So I stopped what I was doing and I went to him. I'm like, dude, I am sorry that I said that way. I'm like, you have to understand. When I'm doing push-ups, it's really hard. Right. And I am very stressed. Like it's very difficult for me to do, and I have to focus all of my attention on that. Yeah. I'm sorry that anyway, I was able to repair right away, thankfully. Right. But just it's like he the look on his face, I won't forget it. But it's just like it broke his heart. But yeah, I was...
He's probably going to correct your form.
Yeah. My form is okay. Yeah. I was working on my form the whole time.
There you
go. But yeah.
I was going to say that I had a moment with my son, and I can't remember what it was about, but I was using a very serious voice with him. It was something that happened where it was, you need to know this right now. Mm-hmm. And I said to him, don't confuse the tone that I'm using for thinking that you're in trouble. Like, you're not in trouble. I'm saying it like this because I need you to hear me when I'm saying this.
Right.
Like, this is very important life thing right now that you need to know and understand. That I forget what it was. Like, we don't do this, or we do this. Like, it was a very like pointed thing. But I made sure to say, like, it sounds like my angry voice,
right?
But this isn't my angry voice. This is a like important voice. Yeah. Like, you're not in trouble. I'm not yelling at you. You're not in trouble here, but we need to understand what we're talking about.
I had probably one of the most embarrassing things happen to me over the weekend. Based on that, like, I wasn't paying attention at all. And I only heard my wife say, like, I've asked you before. And then I fucking came in hot. Like, I don't know what they were talking about, but apparently it wasn't that serious.
He was coming in full defense.
And I was like, hey, Mom's asked you 3 fucking times. I didn't say fucking, but I was like, the thing. And my daughter was like standing there like this, and my son like looked up at me, and I look over, Robin's just like, what the fuck is your problem? No. And then I was like, she said it. She was like, what the fuck is your problem? And I was like, what happened? Like, what are the thing? Like, I'm coming to you. She's like, I asked her for like to put the fucking towels away or something. And then I was like, she didn't ignore you? She's like, no, she fucking nodded at me. I'm staring right at her. I was like,
read the room, bro.
Read the room, Dad.
do you need a massage or anything? Or like, is there anything I can do
to help?
My bad.
You need some money?
Yeah.
Is there anything I can do?
Let's go to the
here?
dollar store.
Just do the slow exit.
Yeah,
Like, walk back
the
out of
Homer
the room.
Simpson into the bushes. But I was like, damn.
That's where you need to send the mission or the Men in Black gift.
Can we just forget
erase
this
your
moment
memory?
happened?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think those moments are so important that you guys are sharing about there, right? Like, being able to have a moment of high emotion, because we're allowed to have those.
Yeah.
Like, we are dealing with stress. We are dealing with a lot of stuff. You're going to get angry at your kids. You are not going to go through your entire parenting career without getting angry at them. If you do, there's something probably wrong with you.
But it's, sorry to interrupt.
No.
It's also important to realize the generation that we're in. And Rob and I just had this conversation. Like, she said, like, how come when we yell, they don't listen? And my response was, because they respect us, that they don't fear us.
Yeah.
Like, we used to fear our parents. So like, when they yelled, it was like oh shit. Like, we're, and we don't get that reaction in my house when I yell. And it's because I like to think that they respect.
Yeah.
Feel safe.
They
There's no
respect you.
fear there, right?
There is zero fear.
Yeah.
But when we need them to listen, when we're out in public, when we're at the grocery store with the things, like, they listen. And we don't have to ask them, like, you're in a fucking thing. So it's just really important to kind of like not just focus on the moments that you're heated and stressed. Like, they never fucking listen to me. Like, really try to think outside the box too. Like, odds are you're doing a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Unless you beat them or something, then you're an asshole.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yes.
Well, you're probably not listening to our podcast. If you
Yeah,
do.
I mean, yeah.
I also wanted to share that I had the same moment that you had with Leo, with Meg, although it's with an adult, so I could be a little bit more pointed with it. Yeah. I straight up doing push-ups, and it happened several times and I didn't say anything, and finally it was similar. It was one of the
for the listener, they did a push-up competition. We don't just like prioritize push-ups over everything in this household.
It's true. We were doing 2,000 push-ups in 18 days.
There it is.
So
Very
it was
hard
kind of a
things.
thing.
Yes.
So it was near the end. It was probably one of the last days, and similar. I had like 10 left, and Meg just starts going and like asking questions. No. I got up to the top, and I was like, seriously? She's like, what? I'm like, can you not see what I'm doing? She just started laughing. So I finished them out. I'm like, you don't even realize how many times you've done that, do you? And she's like, no. I think when it goes quiet, I feel like I need to fill the silence. Like, not while I'm doing push-ups.
That checks out. But why is it so hard? For me, it is.
I get distracted. That's the thing with me, right? Like, I'm so focused
I need to
on
focus.
the technique that when I start thinking about responses to what she's saying, then I'm like, it just gets harder.
Or like sometimes my kids would like put their hand on my back when I'm doing like it doesn't add any weight at all, but all of a sudden it feels way harder. I'm just like, leave me alone. I can't do this.
Today, Robin and I were working from home, and I did the thing that I always tell the listeners to do.
Okay.
And say like, what is it that you need from me right now? And it completely backfired on
Oh
me.
no.
I don't.
Well, what tone did
But that's
you
what
use?
that's what I'm getting at.
What do you need from me right
The
now?
tone is
everything.
very, very important.
Yeah.
So like whether you're doing push-ups or work or whatever, but like my wife doesn't work in an office. She works directly from home. So now I'm inadvertently working for this company because I'm involved in all the gossip. Right. I don't know anything about the concepts or how complicated things are or what. I don't know the back end of half of the shit that makes her mad.
Yeah.
But I'm supposed to be just as mad and frustrated.
But whoever Nicole is, fuck Nicole.
Because she doesn't fucking do her CCPs properly or whatever. And like,
what is she even doing?
I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I don't give a fuck about any of it. And I had 3 emails come up that all were like small fires I had to put out.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, but okay, and then okay, and then those were all emails, and then this is the sound of my wife. And I'm going. So I just closed my laptop and I looked right at her, and I just said,
Sorry, it isn't going well.
right? I just
Did you clear your throat first?
I did. So now I'm realizing it now.
start.
No, it's
So I close my laptop. I go, what is it that you need from me right now? Do you want me just to listen? Or do you want me to solve all your problems? And she
So you
goes,
didn't just say.
You did not do what you tell the listeners to do.
technically I did. Technically I did.
It started there. It started there.
The correct words.
Needless to say, I will
Took
be
a
going-
hard left.
We were fine and we apologized, but I will apologize again when I get home. I thought about it. It doesn't always work though.
Yeah,
I'm just
no.
letting you know.
Yeah.
Tone is very, very important.
Incredibly
You're
important.
trying, you're learning, you try again, and like,
and
it's
you
just,
just-
taking some at-bats there,
Practice
You
patience. You
missed
got to
that
practice
fastball,
everything.
You're gonna get the
300.
next one.
Right after that happened, I saw a funny video
Yep.
that I wanted to send her.
Yep.
Because like whenever we have like those weird things, I just randomly have to poo. So I always go to the toilet.
It's a nervous poop.
Totally.
It's a sphincter thing.
But anyways, this thing, it was like behind every husband that talks to everybody
okay.
is a wife that hates everybody.
Yeah.
So it's like the guy walking around and he's talking, and then he walks and the wife's just like sitting there like this. And I wanted to send it to her so bad, but like timing is equally as important.
Yeah.
So we were able to get over that hump because I didn't send that
Yes.
meme.
Good.
And that is 14 years of experience,
Sometimes
you up and
don't
comers.
send the video.
Just don't send it. If you gotta send it to somebody, send it to Dave or
Yeah.
the podcast.
Save it for later.
We can be that person for you.
Yeah.
Just save yourself.
This is true.
Well,